Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where we talk about as many literary things as possible. I have been way too productive in my reading here lately. I love books a little too much because I don't really have a social life right now, and I am talking about some of the books that I have been reading over the past few weeks. I just recently finished First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston and actually did a podcast episode with my co host Hannah on the podcast Books Are Magical. So if you are interested in tuning in and listening to that full episode, it is on most major podcasting platforms. And just look for the podcast Books Are Magical, and then you will hear me and my co-host Hannah talking about this book in a little more detail than what you will find on this particular episode. I like to come on here so it kind of puts a face to a voice sometimes, but also it's just me kind of rambling a little bit, talking about books. And so so that's what we do here. I am currently sipping my coffee. It is my post-work coffee as I wind down. It is going to fuel me for my workout after I get done recording some of these, and I can't wait. Really can't wait. But I wanted to talk to you guys about First Lie Wins because honestly, it was a really good book. I was surprised. I think I give it a solid, probably 4.5 stars because I really like a good thriller. I did not actually see the ending coming, and I love when a book keeps me guessing. This book was first published in January of 2024, so it's only been out a little over about over a month and a half. And I will try my very best not to give you any spoilers. We did not give any spoilers on our podcast either because we want to give you time to go out there and find out for yourself what happens. Now, if a book has been out a while, sometimes I'll do some spoilers and I'll maybe kind of spoil some of the details. But if a book is pretty new, if it's only been out maybe less than a year or so, then I try not to dive too far into a lot of the detail because I really want to give it a chance for you guys to go out there and figure out what's what and why these books are doing pretty good. Now, I usually don't bring a book on here to talk about unless I really enjoyed it. So if I give it 4 stars or more, like between 4 to 5, because 5 is pretty much a perfect book, then I usually want to talk to you guys about it. And this is one that I feel is a pretty good one. If you like thriller, if you like mysteries and suspense, then this one might be right up your alley. So, one of the reasons Hannah and I picked this book was it's Reese Witherspoon's book of the month, and I want to say she may have picked it for January, but hey, I know I had a hard time finding it when I went to Barnes & Noble. It is a fast-paced read, has everything you could want in a thriller, secret identities, a mysterious boss, and a cat-and-mouse game that kept me guessing the whole way through. And that was a quote by Reese Witherspoon. Now, I don't often read kind of celebrity-endorsed books, but I have found that Reese Witherspoon actually picks some pretty good books on her selections. And I just kind of want to go back to some of her lists and see what else she's had on there as well. I think one of them that I saw when I just happened to be in Barnes & Noble was Starling House, and I read Starling House as well as an advanced reader copy and really liked it. So if y'all want to hear about Starling House, I'll be happy to do an episode about that as well. So leave a comment down below on some books that y'all may want me to review. What are y'all reading? And yeah, let's have a conversation about books. But this book currently has 4.2 stars on Goodreads, and I think it's got 4.4 stars on Amazon. So I kind of like to look at different places just to see kind of different people rate different places. So, that's how things go. And here is the synopsis from Goodreads, which also reads pretty much the same on Amazon as well. Evie Porter has everything a nice Southern girl could want. A perfect doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence and a garden, a fancy group of friends. The only catch, Evie Porter doesn't exist. The identity comes first, Evie Porter. Once she's given a name and location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the mark, Ryan Sumner. The last piece of the puzzle is the job. Evie isn't privy to Mr. Smith's real identity, but she knows this job will be different. Ryan has gotten under her skin and she's starting to envision a different sort of life for herself. But Evie can't make any mistakes, especially after what happened last time. Because the one thing she's worked her entire life to keep clean, the one identity she could always go back to, her real identity, just walked right into town. Evie Porter must stay one step ahead of her past while making sure there's still a future in front of her. The stakes couldn't be higher, but then Evie has always liked a challenge. So, that's just a little bit of, that's the summary as presented, and it is, like I said, it's been out about a month and a half, and it's got pretty good reviews. Now, one of the things I also liked about this book is that Ashley Elston, the author, lives in North Louisiana, and I too lived in North Louisiana for a very good portion of my life. Was born and raised in Baton Rouge and grew up in North Central Louisiana. So shout out to a local girl there. I feel like I do not believe the location is a real place, Lake Forming, but I kind of feel like it's a kind of generalized area. Like, I probably could point to a place that is very similar to that. Like I said, I lived there for a very large portion. I would say first grade until midway through college, mid-20s approximately. So, yeah, a good portion of my life. This book has got lots of twists and turns, lots of good action, little bits of romance, but nothing that I would say that distracts from the actual thriller that's happening. I think it's just enough that it puts a little bit of kink into the kind of, I guess, her plans a little bit, because when you start to kind of maybe fall for the mark, as so to speak, then you kind of have to think, well, how in the world am I going to make things work the way they need to work? It is very good psychologically. Like, the way she thinks is very brilliant. So, starting with the fact that our main character goes by Evie Porter from the very beginning, and we learn within probably the first chapter or two, I would say within the first two chapters, that she's definitely hiding something. So I don't feel like that's going to be giving anything away. But we also learn that maybe Ryan Sumner, her boyfriend, that things look very rosy with right on the surface, he may also have something going on as well. So we start to really kind of see some like, I don't know, some complexities start to arrive. And then, as that's happening, Evie Porter has, like we said in the synopsis, she has a primary identity. She has a true identity that she's tried to keep clean, that she has hoped she could go back to once she's done with kind of the jobs. So once maybe she retires. However, when her and Ryan are kind of out at I think like a garden party, that particular persona, her real persona, walks in the door on someone else's face. And that's kind of when Evie realizes the game has changed for her, that something is going on either with her boss or the organization, and now things have changed. That is when the shoe has dropped, and she is on almost a warpath to figuring things out. So I really like that we are always learning something new as we're moving forward, that it's pretty complex, but it's really clear in the end that I feel like we do tie things up very well, that the things that get referred to throughout the book start to line up in the end. There was one thing that my co-host mentioned in our podcast that that they didn't clarify, that would be something I would like to know more about, but I don't want to bring it up here because if you want to know about it, go check out that episode. But because this is going to be a shorter episode than that, and I don't want to bring out spoilers, then I'm going to just leave it at that. Because again, I would rather leave you on a slight state of suspense rather than giving you too many details. I do see that a lot of people really seem to enjoy this book, especially if you're the type of person who likes a thriller suspense. I wouldn't say it's too much of a murder mystery, but it's definitely a psychological thriller. We are definitely trying to get into the heads of the people who are kind of the players. And if I were to kind of speculate whether there could be a sequel, I would say possibly, but only if Ashley Elston really figures out a good synopsis to move forward. I think she is perfectly fine if she leaves it here. I don't think she has to push the issue, but there is a couple avenues I think she could take with it if she wanted to. So, that's just my way of thinking about it. I don't know what you think, guys, about it, but I would love to know your thoughts if you have read it, and if you are interested in reading it. Yeah, I would love to know if you are interested in reading it, because that is something that, like, I'm just kind of curious about. So you leave it down below if you are a thriller reader, a suspense reader, that sort of thing. But I will read the quote from the book about where the title comes from, because that was one quote that I thought was really clarifying for me about the title. So, there's an old saying, the first lie wins. It's not referring to the little white kind that tumble out with no thought. It refers to the big one, the one that changes the game, the one that is deliberate, the lie that sets the stage for everything that comes after it. And once the lie is told, it's what most people believe to be true. The first lie has to be the strongest, the most important, the one that has to be told. So, that is a quote kind of from Evie, as she is explaining kind of a little bit about, like, kind of the lie system, because Little White Lies, you kind of learn that she dresses a certain way, so people perceive her a certain way. She speaks a certain way and does things in certain ways, so she is perceived in certain ways. All of that to say she is acting a part in almost everything she does, and those are, we can consider, like Little White Lies. All of that is acting, and none of it's real, like, completely. But none of that would be the big lie yet. So, I just thought that was kind of cool. It's a really good book. The action is well done. The pacing is pretty well done. I could say that there were a couple of slower points, or even a few confusing points, which is probably why I can't give it a perfect score. But I did read it pretty quickly, and I would read more by this author because I was intrigued, and again, I didn't see the ending fully coming, so a book that can keep me guessing till the end is well worth a read. I am a fairly avid thriller reader, and if you can keep me guessing till the end, then I think you've done your job well. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, tell me what your favorite books are, tell me if you like suspense, what have you. I don't know, just leave a happy comment. I don't know, just try not to be negative, because I think we're all doing the best we can sometimes. And until next time, I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one.